Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's webinar. I can see a lot of people are sending in messages already. I just wanted to wait to make sure that we have people join to a certain number before we kickstart. Um, Thank you very much to all of us who've been able to be here on time. We still wait for others to join. We're expecting 50 participants, and we have less than 10. So I will crave your indulgence, the indulgence of all of us that are here already, to allow us give few minutes to others to also join. While we wait for others to join, for few of us that are here, I hope we wouldn't mind if we get to know ourselves. It will be hard for 50 people to introduce themselves. So that's the plus for some of us who are here earlier than others. So I've seen Marina joining us from Serbia. You're welcome. I've seen Kate Ekbo. Uh, I've seen Frank. Frank, good morning. You're very much welcome. Good to have you. I've seen Mabel Samuel. You're welcome. Trick Laquila. Ude Docas. So if you don't mind, you're very much welcome to turn on your audio. Just say hi to a few of us that are here at the moment. And also turn on your audio as well, if you don't mind. And just to inform all of us that we are live on YouTube, and also this is recorded so we can forward it to those who need the recording. You're very much welcome. So if you don't mind, you can turn on your mic. Just say hi to everyone. Just introduce yourself, probably what you do, and your interest in project management. The next 5 minutes before we kickstart. Thank you.
I will say hi to everyone. Like, I'm Marina. I'm from Serbia. I'm very interested in project management. Actually, I'm a junior there, so I'm some kind of associate person that's doing like coordinating the tasks for senior project managers in our organization. I work for one IT corporation where we implement software inside of ATMs. So basically, my interest for this is huge because I want to get certified. So I say hi to everyone. So that's all. That's my 20 seconds.
All right. Thank you very much. Welcome. Nice to have you, Marina. Samuel Obiri. Sorry if I get your name wrong. Samuel Obirizi. Can you just say hi to everyone?
Okay, good day, everyone.
Good day.
Yeah,
Welcome.
my name is Engineer Samuel Oberizi. Well, I work with Mugos Construction Limited. An operations manager over there, and I recently started delving into project management, and I plan to get my certification in a couple of months' time. So that's why I'm here today to see what I can add to what I already know. Thank you
All
very
right.
much for
You're
this
welcome.
opportunity.
You're very much welcome. Look forward to a great conversation with you.
Right.
Okay. Kate, are you there? Ikbono Isien, Trick Laquila, Ude Docas. Okay. Welcome. Laquila. Aquila says he has some background noise over where she is. So that's understood. Okay, Ekbo. Good to have you.
Good afternoon, Ekemini. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kate Ekpo from Uyo, Akwa Ibom. I am aspiring PM product manager, but also I have interest in project management because I know that as a PM, you also need the basic knowledge of project manager. So I'm trying to see, I'm in this webinar to see how I can create a career path for myself through project management. I also have some questions because I've been taking some lessons on Coursera. So that's why
Okay.
I joined the webinar.
All right. You're very much welcome. We have a lot of people coming in already, so we might not be able to get to have everyone introduce themselves. That was just a privilege for a few of us who came very early. So, but we have the chat session open. Introduce yourself there, network, tell us about yourself and what you do, so we can have much time to go into the business of today and also have much time to answer our questions. So please permit me to put a pause to the self-introduction for now. Should we have time, we'll welcome more people to introduce themselves. But at the moment, kindly make use of the chat button and drop every information you have, questions and all of it. But though there will be an opportunity for people to unmute their mics and ask questions because we need to understand it from your very perspective. Reading it may not really give us a good clue, but if you happen to express it verbally, we will have better understanding. So people are still joining. Quite unfortunate that they might miss some early part of this. So I would go into starting the webinar uh, proper. So my name is Ekemini Jacob, and by God's grace, I'll be your facilitator today. A little bit about myself, something I don't really love to do so much, but we encourage to do it so that people get to know more about your professional background, and then should they have interest, if it's something they believe that you can be of help, it's always one of those opportunities to reach out to people who need help in respective areas of knowledge, of skills. So I have a background in banking and finance, and also have a master of business administration. I am PMI project management professional. That's PMP certified since 2019. I also have the PMI Agile Hybrid Project Pro micro certification. Also Google Agile Project Manager. I am also professional Scrum Master 2 certified. Have 7 years plus experience in managing project in real life and also training people. I also have Lean Six Sigma green belts. I've also worked and gathered years of experience in operations and supply chain. I've worked in the manufacturing industry as a supply chain associate. It's a pleasure to meet each and every one of us. So our agenda for today, we'll do a little introduction into project management, and then we'll also talk about where and how to start in project management, what courses to take and what trainings to take, where do I learn. That's possible. That's just where you're going to take the courses, where you can start learning. Um, Questions surrounding if you really need a certification at the early start, if you do not, and if you need a certification, when. Some people learn project management, some people are actually a little bit into project management, but do they really need a certification or not? So we'll answer those questions. Which certification should I go for? And then, as well as other project management questions we will have. Before we proceed, let me see if there are people who are requesting to join. Okay, there are none at the moment. All right. So, for some of us who haven't done anything about project management, haven't taken any course in project management, what is really project management? It's very simple. Sometimes when we hear project management or project, a lot of people will always think about road constructions, construction of skyscrapers, construction of bridges, and all of it. Yes, those are still projects, but we get involved in projects almost every day of our lives, in our private lives, in our work, in our places of worship, in our respective associations of membership. We are all involved in projects almost every day. So project is just simply a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So what does that mean? When we say project is just simply um, an endeavor that has a start date. The keyword there is temporary. Temporary there means it has a start date and it also has an end date. So that's different from operations. We get to understand the difference between a project and operations. So a project is temporary, a temporary endeavor. That means it has a start date and it has an end date. Even if sometimes you might not know the very day it is going to end, but it is very certain that within certain period, this endeavor is going to end. And at the end of it, it has to bring into existence a unique product or unique services or unique result, something that was not there before. As simple as saying, we want to update all our computers in our offices from Microsoft Windows 10 to Windows 11. That's a project because you are moving from where we were and to something new. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily need to be bringing into existence something new. It can be changing from a certain state to another for specific reasons. So at the end of it, we are going to plan, we are going to initiate. The mere fact that we have decided that we are going to upgrade our computers from Microsoft Windows 10 to Windows 11 means that we have initiated the project, because project always starts from initiation. And after that, how are we going to go about this? When are we going to start this? What do we need? What are the things we need to consider? We start putting all those things together. That's actually planning that project. And then after that, we decide to start implementing the project on its own. That is, we begin the actual upgrade of those systems from 10 to Windows 11. It could take a few hours, it could take days, it could take weeks, but whatever way it is started, it was started on a specific date and it is going to end at a specific date. And within this period, we are trying to monitor, we are trying to make sure that what we actually wanted to do is going as planned. That's about monitoring and controlling. Some people call it monitoring and evaluation. And at the end of it, we are done with the whole upgrade. And then we have closed, we have done with the upgrade and everything is okay. And then we close out the project by completing the project. If there were documentation that were to be made, that will be done. So when we say projects, it doesn't necessarily need to be very big, multi-million dollars, naira endeavors like constructing a road or constructing a skyscraper or building a new bridge. No. When once we are involved in a temporary endeavor, something that is going to end in a certain date, and at the end of it is going to bring into existence something new, that is a project. In our daily lives, every day, we embark on projects. If you plan to travel or go for an holiday, that's a project because you've initiated that. You are going to plan that. You're going to embark on the actual travel, which is the execution of that project. You're going to make sure that as you're going, everything is according to plan. You could have a checklist that, oh, within this period, I will do this. I will go for shopping. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Do this. Do that. At the end of it, from on daily basis or on weekly basis, you review to make sure that you're doing those things you wanted to do during that your holiday or during that your travel. That's monitoring and evaluation. At the end of it, there will be a last day where you're going to return to work and then the whole travel, the whole holiday has ended. At that point, you have closed out that project. So in the simplest explanation possible, that is a project. But when it has to do with organizations where we get involved in bigger project that involves huge amount of money, project becomes bigger and more professional, and hence the need where people needs to learn project management. Sometimes people say, I am not the project manager and all of it. Project management is not only for professional project managers, people who have dedicated their career path to be in projects or to manage projects, to be professional project manager. I always say that project management skill is a life skill. It's a skill for everyone. Yeah, it's different from people who wants to professionalize as professional project managers as their career path. They will certainly have to learn more, get more experience, certifications, because that's their primary career path. But even if we are working in different industries, project management skill is very, very important for everyone. We are going to come into that. We've known what a project is. Now, talk about project management. What's project management? It's simply the application of specific knowledge, specific skills, tools, and techniques to initiate, plan, execute, monitor, and control, and close a project to deliver value and result. So you decide to travel. You are the project manager of that project, and the project is a holiday in France, for example. Every skill, every knowledge, everything you've brought together to be able to successfully initiate, plan, execute, monitor, and evaluate, and then end that project. And at the end of it, that project delivers the result you had planned, the result you wanted. That is what we call project management. It involves skills, it involves knowledge, it involves tools, it involves some techniques, involves a lot of things. That's where people have to go learn, because you need to learn these skills, you need to learn these knowledges, you need to learn how to make use of these tools and techniques. When you've gotten all this, you now learn how to be able to blend, because it's what we call project integration management, the ability to blend every part of it to be able to get the result. So we know what a project is, and then we know what project management is. I will pause there. Should anyone have any question to ask? Do you have any question on what project is and what project management is? I've been able to use a complex definition. I've also been able to use a very simplified definition when I made use of planning to travel for a holiday as a project. I know in the corporate world, project goes beyond that. It's bigger, but I'm just trying to show us that project is what a lot of us get involved in almost every day of our lives, almost every week. We are involved in project. We initiate projects, we plan projects, we implement projects every day within our little sphere. But where we need to expand our knowledge and gain more professional skill is when we are saddled with the responsibility of implementing larger projects that doesn't just involve only you. It involves a lot of people, a lot of money, because if it fails, it becomes a problem. So we've known what projects is and what project management is. I'll just give a few minutes. Should anyone have any question to ask, any question, you can always use the raise hand button, so I will know. In the absence of any, I think I can proceed. Okay, so we know what project is and we know what project management is. Project, as I've defined, always exists in five stages. So that's what we called project's life cycle. Traditionally and generally, this is what we call the life cycle of every project, whether it is a $30 billion project or whether it is few thousands projects of you traveling for holiday. Every project in the whole world, irrespective of where it is carried out, carries this life cycle. For those of us who are Christians, and God said, let us make man in our own image. That was initiation. God initiated the project of building human beings that never existed. And then I'm sure that there was planning. And at some point, the execution actually happened, and God started molding human beings. And He was making sure that everything was perfect. And at the end of it, human being came into existence, and then the project was closed. Don't mind me using biblical project, but in the general sense, every project, irrespective of the size, irrespective of how big or small the project is, takes this life cycle traditionally. I'm saying that because contemporary, there are other life cycles depending on the industry, like technology. This is what we call agile project management now. That is basically a rolling wave kind of planning. We plan, implement, check, and then everything's okay. We come, plan, implement, check. We don't plan everything to the end, but generally, there is initiation, there is planning, there's execution, there's monitoring, and at the end of it, there's closure, irrespective of whichever life cycle it is. This is why this approach, this straight line, horizontal life cycle of a project is called generic, because it applies. This is the foundation of which every approach to project management, be it agile, Scrum, Kanban, and all we have come to have today, comes from. So every project starts from initiation. This is the stage where that project is initiated. And after initiation, that project is planned. Every project has to be planned, irrespective of the size, what is involved. If you want to travel, you certainly plan that your travel. Which clothes are you going to have? Do you need a very big bag, or do you not need that? Are you going to lodge in a hotel, or are you going to stay with a friend? So I'm just using that as the basics example. You want to construct a bridge, the government would negotiate, sit down with the other members of the cabinet. At the end of it, agree that we are constructing a particular road. That is initiation. And after that, we plan how much is this going to cost. What is the plan? What kind of road should we construct? What are the possible issues we are going to have constructing this road? And then at the end of it, the execution starts. The construction company begins the actual work. While this work is going on, monitoring and evaluation, or monitoring and controlling, is taking place. Where the government and all other parties, even the community that is hosting that project, will continuously keep an eye on the project to make sure that what was planned is what is implemented, that to make sure that everything goes as planned. If there is any deviation, things has to be done to correct that. If there are additions, things that were not planned but has to be brought in, that will be done. That is what monitoring and controlling entails. And then at the end of it, this project has been completed. It will be closed out. The contractor hands over this project to this project sponsor or the community that's owning this project. And at the end of it, have we met what we planned to achieve in this project? Yes. We had to construct two bridges. We had to construct also kilometer of road, well tarred with drainages. That has been done. At the end of it, if everything has been achieved, we close out that project. So even if it is in the technology world, which do not use this, but which we are going to come to see, but at the end of it, there will always be initiation, there will be planning, there will be execution. And while all these things are going on, there's monitoring and controlling at all the stages of this project. And at the end of it, when everything is completed, the project will be closed out. So one of the core things you need to know about projects or project management is that a project is different from operations. Operations is what we do on daily basis. It is ongoing. It will not end until maybe the company comes to an end. For example, a manufacturing industry we have worked before, the company that produces syringes will continue to produce syringes. On daily basis, we are producing syringes and sending them out. We are buying raw materials and we are sending out the finished goods we are producing. That's operations. It is ongoing. It is continuous. Whether it's going to come to an end when the business comes to an end, but this is what we do every day. But talking about project management, it has to be something we are going to initiate because there's a value we want to get from it. Initiate it, start it, and we have the plan that this road should be completed in 3 years' time. And when it is completed, it's handed over, everything about that road stops. In case if it has any issue, maybe maintenance, but that project has been completed from the initiation to when that road has been constructed. You wanted to travel from the day you conceived the idea of traveling, which is initiation, till the day you finish the whole travel experience, and then you are back home, back to starting your work again after the holiday. That's that's a project. But what you do on daily basis, maybe your normal work where you wake up every day and then you go do, that's operations. So sometimes people get confused. What's operations? What is project? A company that is engaging in operations or producing goods and services can get involved in a project. For example, we want to build a new plant. A new plant. That is a project. We want to introduce a new line of businesses. That is a project. We want to build an automated system or a robot that works on a specific product. That's a project. We want to integrate AI into our production system. That is a project, because at the end of it, you're going to start the whole integration, and in a particular day, that integration is going to end and then hand it over to the daily operations. So everything that we want to do in our lives or in the corporate world, and it has a specific time you want to start, probably has a specific budget you want to spend on that, and then has a specific date or time frame you want that thing to be ready and handed over and completed for you to start enjoying the value or the benefits of that thing, be it a road construction, be it introducing a new line of business. Those are projects, and it passes through this life cycle of initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and then closing. In project management, this is where when I tell some people that in project management, though it is of advantage that you have the technical knowledge, for example, you are to manage a technology project or a project of road construction, you should be somewhere that at least have a good knowledge about civil engineering, constructing roads, constructing bridges, but it is not really compulsory. It's always complicated when I say that the project manager, irrespective of the background, can manage a project successfully without necessarily having to have the technical knowledge of that industry of which he or she is managing the project. People say, that's not possible. How can you successfully manage a construction project when you're not a civil engineer? This is just the reason. Project management has so many knowledge areas. Or let me not even say project management. A project has almost every area of knowledge which are professional to specific people before a project is set to be successful. There will be project integration management, the ability for you to blend everything in that project, the resources, the humans working on it, the machines, the cost, schedule, and every skills, every technique, every knowledge, everything you are going to use in that project, ability for you to blend them, let them work together. This project scope management, this project schedule management. There are people who are even professionals in scheduling projects. This project cost management, basically, which is similar to finance. So if you're a civil engineer and you think that, okay, because you're a civil engineer, you're the only one qualified to be a project manager of a construction project, are you also a financial manager? Because there's project finance management, which is called project cost management. Are you a quality tester? Because there's what we call project quality management. There's project resource management, which is basically about managing the resources of the project, most especially the human resources. Are you a HR personnel? There's project communication management. There is project risk management. People go to school to study risk management, which is a different area. The stakeholders management, the ability for you to manage the people which this project will affect or who can affect this project. this project quality management. I think I've mentioned that. So as a project manager, you are not necessarily to know the technical aspect of the project, because in every project is what we called subject matter experts. For example, we are constructing a bridge. There is going to be an expert, someone, a professional that is whose skill, whose professional knowledge is specifically bridge construction. That is the people who's going to lead the team that are actually carrying out the construction itself. But project goes beyond the actual work of the project to other areas, ability to manage human beings, knowing the laws, the labor laws that has to do with working in that country, the ability for you to manage project finance. If you're not a project manager, how do you do that? So, sorry, a finance manager, how do you do that? There is risk management in projects. People professionally specialize in this. So what do a project manager do? What does a project manager do when it has to do all this? Simply, what a project manager does is not to carry out the main work of the project. For example, we are going to construct bridge. Is going to be one of the persons doing the welding, mixing the blocks. No. Project manager has to be that person that is skilled with the ability to coordinate all these different areas of this project to be able to work together as one. Should be somebody that be able to talk to people and motivate them to carry out the project task. It should be somebody who is able to work with the finance department who are actually managing the cost of the project, so as to bring all this, bring subject matter experts together, bring the finance people together, bring the quality, the QA, the quality assessment units or department together, bring the risk manager guys together, bring every aspect of that project together to be able to have that project work in sync, have all these parts work in sync toward accomplishing what the task or what's the goal or what the result of the project was to be. So sometimes you could have someone who is skilled in civil engineering, is a professional civil engineer managing a civil engineering project, for example, managing construction of a bridge or construction of a road, and at the end of it, that project still fails. Even when it was managed by the project manager was someone who is a civil engineer. Why? Why would that happen? That happens because there are other aspects of the project that may not be managed well, which could lead to the failure of the project. Could be cost was not managed well. So we had cost overrun where the project went beyond what was actually budgeted for it, and then the funders do not want to release more funds again. It could be issues with human resources where the workers on the project are not well managed, and then led to a protest, and at the end of it led to the abandonment of the project. It could be caused by natural disaster, which is actually because risk management was not properly done. Because if proper risk management was done, is that possibility that that risk, which is the natural disaster, probably would have happened. There are a lot of projects that comes to be delayed because of, say, rain. Proper risk management will have made the project team to discover that, okay, this is rainy season, and within this season, we are projecting that in the month of October, there will be so much rain. So let us plan this project in such a way that we can carry out some tasks that can be affected by rain in September if there will be no much rain, or we can push that to November and carry out other activities that will not be affected by rain in the month of October. And before you know, that project will succeed. So project management, ability to successfully manage projects, goes beyond having the technical knowledge in that particular area of the project. Say you are vested in civil engineering or construction, so you should be the person managing a construction project. So this is where the argument always come in. Must a project manager necessarily be a technical person in that field of that project? For example, if it is a construction project management, it has to be. Yes, there are advantages if the project manager is vested technically in this area of in that particular industry, but the project manager still have to have the knowledge, the skills needed to be able to perform other aspects of the project, to be able to make sure the project works well. If not so, he will have all the technical knowledge in constructing bridge. And then at the end of it, the general project fails at the end. The bridge will not be constructed. Not because the team actually to work on the bridge were not good. No, but because other areas of the project were not well managed. Could be finance, could be proper risk management, it could be proper communication, could be proper management, managing of the stakeholders. We have a lot of road constructions in Nigeria that have been abandoned because the local community came out to say, okay, for you to construct this, you must have to pay the local community this. These are the losses the community has incurred to make this project work. And then if you don't pay, we will cause problems. At the end of it, they cause problems and that project is not implemented. Why? Because the project manager did not or do not have the knowledge or the skills in managing stakeholders. He will have properly identified that the community people are also major stakeholders in the project and they have to be well carried along. They have to be well managed. You need to ask them, what are your challenges? What do you think can affect this project? And if you are not able to identify that, you now see that you are vested in constructing a road. You have the skill, you have the technical know-how, but that road will not be constructed because you do not have the ability to identify some stakeholders and how they can affect the project. So project management goes beyond just having the skills in that particular field to be able to carry out the project work. Instead, you can be a good subject matter expert. Subject matter expert is the person that is particularly versed in a specific area of a project, of a whole project. Could be versed in finance. That's why in a project we will need an auditor, we need an accountant, we need a professional finance manager, we need a professional risk manager, we could need a professional schedule manager, we could need a professional quality tester in a project. These are all subject matter experts in a project. If it is a project to develop a website, we will need the person that is going to do the actual coding, writing the code, doing the design. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the project manager should be the one to write the code or probably must know how to write the code. Yes, I know people would get this, would be surprised that this is, but that is actually the fact. There are other skills needed for you to be able to work well as a project manager, because even someone who can write a code and build a website still manage a website project that at the end of it is launched but doesn't meet the result that was to be. So that's why in tech projects, you have the Scrum Master, will have the development team, will have the product owner who should be able to get more knowledge about that, be able to collect requirements and make sure that at the end of it, that project is implemented to give the needed result. So a project manager needs to have all this, the knowledge of all these, what we call knowledge areas, according to PMI in project, and also be vested with other skills. So before we go, okay, let me just finish this slide before we take some questions. I know that talking about the fact that a project manager doesn't necessarily need to be technically vested in that particular area of project could generate a lot of questions, a lot of doubt. But who is a project manager? A project manager is a person with the knowledge, skills, and ability to apply, coordinate, and manage the interrelationship of all the tools, all the skills, all the processes, all the resources, all the knowledge areas needed to successfully initiate, plan, execute, monitor, and control, and close a project to deliver value and result. That last point, to deliver value and result, is very important, because a project could be successfully initiated, completed to the end, and that project is still a failed project. As long as that project has not been able to deliver the value that was needed, that project would be a failed project. So it doesn't necessarily mean if we were to build this microphone and then at the end of it, we have successfully built the microphone and it is working fine. And then at the end of it, the customers, the target customers you wanted to build this microphone for, tends not to like this microphone because there's something wrong somewhere. There's a feature they don't like, or there's a feature they had wanted to be part of this microphone, but it's not there. That project is a failed project. So it has to be able to successfully, the project manager should be able to have the skills, knowledge, and the ability to coordinate every aspect of a project to successfully implement that project and close out that project and deliver, so that that project delivers the needed value and the needed result. Some skills a project manager needs. What makes a good project manager? A project manager should be a good leader. A good leader, someone who is able to lead a group of people to achieve the set goal and objective. It should be a problem solver, someone who, there's going to be a lot of problems in projects. Even project itself is initiated to solve a particular problem. For example, there are issues surrounding using Microsoft 10, and then we initiate a project to upgrade from Microsoft 10 to Microsoft Windows 10 to Microsoft Windows 11. That Windows 11 is to solve a particular problem which we want to upgrade from 10 to. If after the upgrade that the problem is not solved, then that means that project has not been a successful one. So a project manager should be a good problem solver. It should be a good communicator. At some point, PMI said that the project manager spends more time in a project communicating than doing any other thing. Project communication is very important. Ability for you to say what you want to say, how you want to say it to be received well by the people you're saying that thing to. That's why a lot of project fails, because there's not accurate communication between the project team, the project manager, the project sponsor, and then other relevant stakeholders in the project. A project manager should be someone who is emotionally intelligent. You are going to manage people. It is growing. It is getting increasingly difficult to manage human beings now. So you need to be highly emotionally intelligent, ability for you to manage people, because people are going to be the ones working, not robots. People will be the ones working at all levels of the project, in all areas of that project, be it finance, be it communication, in any way, be it doing the actual work of the project. Those will be done by people. You should be able to motivate these people. You should be able to communicate with these people. You should be able to talk to these people the way that will make them encouraged to carry out the work of the project successfully. Because if they sabotage your project, no matter how good you are as a project manager, you will certainly fail. So ability for you to manage human beings, ability for you to know how to manage people is very, very important. So we've talked about the fact that the project manager doesn't necessarily, though there may be advantages if a project manager is technically vested in a particular area. Say it is a tech project, the project manager has to be someone who can code, who can write codes. Yes, there could be advantages. Yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if we are doing a tech project, the project manager has to be a tech person. That is why you go into a bank manager is not someone who studied banking and finance or who studied finance. It could even be an engineer. But if he has the skills or the ability to coordinate all the sub areas of the bank, the tellers, the marketers, the media people, the actual finance people, the credit analysts, and all the sub teams in that project to function well and be delivering results, that person can be appointed as the manager of that bank. That's how it works, even in projects. But if that person has a technical knowledge about the banking sector, it is an added advantage, but it doesn't necessarily has to be that. So I will pause here. Should we have questions? I know that part always raise a lot of eyebrows. Yes. Okay, so do we have question? Can you raise your hand? And then let's talk a little about that part where I say that a project manager do not necessarily has to be someone who is technically vested in a particular area. Or do you even understand what I mean when I say that? So open to conversation before we proceed. And I'll also look through the chat section, the messages, to see if there is any question there. I've seen Peace Eze For someone who handles operations, which knowledge area will they fall in? You see, Peace, if you're still here, I've clearly mentioned the fact that project management is different from operations or operations management. Operation has to do with carrying out the daily task, which is what's the company. The company produces biscuit every day. They are producing biscuits. Everything that surrounds that production of that biscuit, that is operations. Be it buying raw materials, bringing them in, doing the actual production of that biscuit, sending them out to the final consumers. Those are operations. It happens every day. We continuously do it. We don't do it with a specific date in mind, which we are going to end it. Yes, the company could fail and then the business comes to an end. Yes, but that's different. That's different from starting a particular project. For example, you're starting a road construction and you know that in 2 years' time, this road should be ready. So, but in operations, you talk about knowledge areas. I've been in operations. I would say, okay, you have to be technically vested in that area of the operations you do. You need to learn operations management, supply chain. You need to have the ability to manage finance, which is cost management. Human resource management is very important. But one unique thing about operations is that most times people specifically need to specialize in their own area. Yes. When I worked in operations, I was in the supply chain. Specifically, supply chain is a chain that has a lot of sub areas. I worked in the logistics. Our work was to do everything, carry out all the activities that has to do with bringing in the raw materials wherever it is bought from. Most of the times you used to buy raw materials from China. So once the procurement unit of that supply chain have carried out all the procurement and then the accounting have made the payments for those raw materials, it is handed over to logistics, which that's where I worked in. We do from air and all the paperwork to have that goods shipped from China to Nigeria. If we buy the raw materials locally, whether it's in Lagos, we do everything that has to do with bringing it was what we did. So in operations, most times there are always people responsible for their different areas, but it is management at large. So you will need some good knowledge in communication, good knowledge to manage people, which is human resource management. Cost management, that is finance, you still need those knowledge areas. In fact, you can apply all those knowledge areas even in operations, but you need to understand that these are two different things. This one is temporary as it has a start date and an end date. The other one is a continuous thing. That is what the company does, and that is what we do almost every day. I don't know if you understand. That was from Peace Eze. From MM Alex, can an event planner said to be a project manager? The answer is simply yes. You are planning an event. That particular event you're planning is a project, because the planning is going to start on a specific date, and then you're going to carry out operations. Sorry, the implementation of that project. So event planning is a project management. So an event is a project. So someone who is an event planner needs a good project management skill. So I don't even need to explain so much. An event planner, someone who plans an event, is a project manager. That particular wedding is a project. As long as you're the one planning the whole events and doing everything that has to do with implementing that event to be successful, you are the project manager. So someone who wants to be a good event planner has to be a good good project manager. So the project management skill is very, very much needed for someone who is an event planner. Or is there a close similarity between the two? I've already mentioned that an event is a project. It's as simple as that. An event is a project, because at the end of it, the whole thing toward implementing that event is going to be conceived, which is the initiation. I'm going to have my wedding, and my wedding must be in this kind of a style. That is an initiation. And then after that, we have decided how the wedding will be. We start planning. Okay, I will need a hall that takes 5,000 people, so kind of cake, a DJ with so kind of sound, and all of it. That is planning. Implementation, the day of the event is there. The decoration people have started fixing the decoration. The DJ have started selecting the music he will be playing. A lot of things going on. That is executing. As a good event planner, you need to continuously make sure that everything that is done is based on what the client wanted. That is monitoring and controlling. If there are issues, you are able to make sure that it is put in place. Maybe a speaker was brought by the DJ and then it's not going to sound well, you find a way to replace it. Or there were some aspects of the event that were not remembered to be planned in, but the client, the person having the wedding wants it. So in that case, you have to add that. That's monitoring and controlling and making changes to the project. And at the end of it, the event has been completed. You now go back, okay, you needed to do this. Did we? Yes, we did everything. Oh, your event was so nice. Yes, you managed my events very well. If there were balances to be paid, that balance is paid, and then that project is closed out. Everything ends that time. So events is a project. So managing an event is managing a project. I think you've been able to have that clarification. From Peace is there. So to clarify that I was asking, if someone that has experience in operations management goes into project management, which area can they thrive in better? You mentioned different knowledge areas like finance. Okay, those knowledge areas are things every project manager should know. Peace, Eze. Those knowledge areas are not things which you should take one and then leave the other. Now, but we are not trying to say that you need to be specialized in finance. No. As the project manager who is coordinating every aspect of the project, you are expected to have a good amount of knowledge or some level amount of knowledge in all these areas. You might not be a professional in those areas, in schedule, in finance, in human resource management, but you should be able to have the ability to know that, okay, this project was to be 1 billion naira. At 50% completion, we were to spend 55% of the money. And then at so this thing, we have to spend so percentage. So as a project manager, you should be able to know what is the 50% or 55% of 1 billion that was to be spent at 50% completion. So those basic knowledge, because at the end of it, there will be the account department, if it's a big project that is actually working on the account itself. So, but you should be able to see the financial document and just have a good understanding. So you don't specifically need to be a specialist in any of this area. But should you want, there's no problem. For example, I studied finance. I'm well vested in finance. So if I'm to perform project finance management to the deeper point of it, I can do it. I have worked for years as a human resource manager. So if I am to handle the human resource aspect of that project, I can do it. Yes, those are different things, but you can specialize in any of these areas, any way you want to specialize. But as a project manager, you need all these skills. You don't necessarily need to say you don't need one at all. So there's no one you should specialize in. So Eze, please, Eze, let's assume that you are a nurse. Now, that is where you specialize in. You specialize in nursing science. So a professional nurse or you're a doctor. There are projects in the health sector. If we want to launch a new, for example, when we had COVID-19, the whole process to developing a vaccine was a project. Because at the end of it, we need to start. At the end of it, we developed a new product that never existed. That is the COVID-19 vaccine. And then the whole project ended. So this project across all boards. So you can specify in any area you want to specify, but for you to be a good project manager, you need to have some good level of knowledge across these areas. That's why when you want to go learn project management, you will certainly see project finance management, project. Don't be afraid of it. If you don't like numbers, there's no problem. It is just exposing you to the basics so that whatever the subject matter experts or the core professionals in those areas will do, you should be able to have a good level of understanding. For example, you are an operations manager. You should be able to have a little understanding if I come to say that, okay, our goods will be leaving the port and will arrive at an airport, I will need so import duty to pay. You should be able to understand what import duty is. You might not necessarily know the technicalities of how to pay, but you should just have a good understanding so that when the sub people working on those areas brings report to you, you should be able to understand. So that's how it works. I hope that's understood. Please drop more questions if you need. Samuel Obizirizi, sorry if I don't get your name right. I have seen situations where the PM isn't an expert in the field is managing and is greatly affected the project. The engineers had to explain certain technical aspects to the PM. Technical aspect to the PM multiple times, and he still doesn't get it, which slowed down the project. Yes, that's very, very correct. I made mention of the fact that that's why I use the word doesn't necessarily, and then there is great advantage if the project manager is actually vested. There is huge advantage if the project manager is technically vested in the area. But in that case, if you work for an organization that wants to maybe make the project manager to come from a different area entirely, what big organizations normally do is to have what we call subject matter expert. The subject matter expert is someone who is vested in that specific area. For example, if it was to be a civil engineering project, that person is specifically vested. That is his area of expertise. That person will be the one to handle all technical aspects of the project. But why a lot of organizations choose a project manager from a different area is the fact that you are not coming to do the actual work of the project. You are just there to coordinate all the sub parts of the project. Finance, for example, don't you also think that is to you, Samuel, don't you also think if you have a project manager who has the technical knowledge, so when the engineers explain everything, they understand it very well about that technical, but that project manager do not have the human resource ability to manage human beings, that even riots in that project can also lead to the slow down of that project or even failure of the project. Or that project manager is also vested in the technical aspect of the project, but doesn't understand anything about the project finance. At the end of it, project finance could be misused, and at the end of it, the money finishes, but we have not completed the project. So in one way or the other, it could be affected. That is why we just say a project manager should be able to have a good level of knowledge across all these knowledge areas. If he or she is a specialist in the specific area of the project, perfect. That is good. That is very much welcome. That could be of great advantage, but it doesn't necessarily, because even if he has technical knowledge in a specific area, he might be lacking in specific other areas of the project, which can also affect the project. He has technical knowledge in the technical aspect of the work, but lacks the ability to identify possible risk in the future. For example, let me just set a good example of why risk management is important as a good skill. For example, you're managing a project, you have the technical knowledge in that area of project, you could understand the engineers very well, fine, but you just lack the simple financial projection skills for you to know that as we are in Nigeria, with the present economy, there may likely be 50% inflation in the next 2 years, and your project is going to run for 3 years, and then you're making a budget without considering inflation, and then at the end of it, the tools you are going to buy by that time is far more expensive than what was budgeted. When that project also fail, even when the project manager understands the technical aspect of the project, it will. So that's why we said doesn't necessarily, but if the project manager is technically vested, that is perfect. But he or she still needs to go and learn and understand other areas of the project or if we have technical people in those areas, it should also be able to coordinate all those areas too. So one of the reasons why also a project manager being technically versed in the technical aspect of the work is he might get carried away by the technicalities. For example, someone who knows how to write codes. If you are carrying out a tech project that requires programming, might get carried away by the codes. He loves writing codes. He might get carried away in such a way all his attention is on the codes, on writing code with the development team, forgetting about managing the human resource problems in the project, managing finance, anticipating what the customer requirement is or what have been changes in the society, and then make changes to be able to make sure that when this product is launched, it is going to meet the requirements of the customer. So he focuses on code because he's so much in love with codes. And then at the end of it, fails to handle the other aspect of it. Then at the end, the project will also fail. So all this needs to be balanced. It needs to be balanced. There's advantage if the project manager is vested in the technical aspect. Fine, there are also disadvantages, but all needs to be well balanced so that everything works well. Samuel, I think that explains it. Okay, Emmanuel Akpana Sierra, thank you, Kenny, for the platform. Emmanuel is my friend, your classmates in University of Rio, banking and finance department. Nice to have you. Okay, your question, you made reference to the banking sector, which is unique. You don't need to study banking to excel in the banking industry. You just need to meet targets and get certifications. But in areas such as oil and gas, real estate, etc., if you don't study those fields, you tend to struggle to enter. How does one deal with this, or what is PMI doing to cope this? Yes, it is possible that, yes, it's a very specialized area which there's a lot of regulations that governs that. If a particular industry has regulations surrounding who comes in or who doesn't come in, there could be those regulations just needs to be implemented. Yes, they just need to be implemented. But I've seen situations whereby top people, in fact, if you go to the management level in the oil industry, you realize that the top managers are not people who studied petroleum engineering, because what is needed at that level is different. They are going to employ top people who studied petroleum engineering. Yes, but they, at the top management level, management is about coordinating all the nitty-gritties, all the sub areas, all the sub functional areas, all the units together to work fine. You need to coordinate finance, you need to coordinate human resources, you need to coordinate the main technical guys who are actually doing the oil thing. You need to coordinate the department that's handling pipeline welding. You need to coordinate the risk management area. You need to coordinate the public relations. So as long as somebody is vested with the skills to coordinate all this to work very well, that person should be the best option. It doesn't necessarily need to be somebody who is in that area. Yes, I don't believe in that. So, but that's why I say in the top management level in the oil industry, there are so many people who did not study oil and gas related this thing. But since they have the ability, there are other things that are needed in projects. It goes beyond the technical knowledge. In fact, technical work of the project is always one of the least things that causes project failure. Just go and Google causes of project failure. You will see that the technical work itself is always the least thing. It always could be finance, budgeting, which is completely different from the technical aspect of it. So that means that the budget or finance was wrongly managed. It could be a natural disaster. That means that the team did not carry out a good project analysis or good risk analysis to identify that there would be hurricane, or there's that possibility of hurricane at so time, or they could have possibility of rain at so time. There could be possibility of flood at so time. And in that case, it is not the technical aspect of the work. So a project manager doesn't necessarily need to be technically vested. But if there are areas, because different industries have different setup, but in the present world, that is almost becoming something of the past, whereby some of these regulations are there. Even in tech, this citizen development coming in now, this no code development coming in now, meaning that, okay, even if you don't know how to write code, you come into the sector and then you're still doing fine, relatively. It doesn't mean that you need to go into tech without having any technical knowledge about tech. But the world has actually changed. So this dichotomy is a thing that is gradually going down. Yes. But if a specific industry says this is our standard, of course. But Mr. Emmanuel, I would ensure you, if you really dig deep into the oil and gas sector, you will certainly know that the actual managers, the top, I don't mean supervisors, I don't mean the technical guys doing the work, don't mean the operations guy, I mean the actual top managers in finance and CEOs and the rest of this. Most of them are people who didn't study, who did not study finance. Sorry, who did not study the actual technical aspect of the work. So that's just it. Okay. Sorry guys, if you can observe, my face is darker than before. The usual thing in Nigeria, the public power is off, which means I need to go put on my my generator. So please, I will crave your indulgence for a few minutes. You can open your microphones, interact, network with people. I think in the next 2 minutes, I should be able to put on the power and we should be back. Please feel free to interact. I don't know if there's any other question. Okay, there's no other question. So when I come back in the next 1 or 2 minutes, we should be able to continue uh, from there. Okay, Kate Ekbo, just give me 1 minute. Let me put on my gen and have light back so you can all see my face very well. Please, just 1 minute. You'll be the one to ask the question when I come back. Just few minutes. I'll be back. Okay, thank you very much for that patience. I'm back. Sorry about that break. Okay, Kate, please kindly ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for this webinar. It's really, really insightful. Most of the questions I had in mind, other people have asked it and I've gotten clarity on it, but it's more like, maybe, I don't know if I should say a guide for someone that is just starting out in project management, probably after taking some of the courses online, and there's an opportunity for you to volunteer in maybe a little project. What are the tools that would be recommended for someone who is still new into the project management field? That's question number one. Number two, when if your if you're handling a project and then because when I was taking the second course, that's project initiation on Coursera, they talked about the stakeholder coming to make changes when the project is already maybe it's 50% done. Let me use it that way. How would you handle it as a project manager? So I also needed clarity on that. If you're working with a team and the stakeholder comes in and like, oh, I want you to include this, and what you're being asked to include in the project is going to offset the time and the budget of the project. How do you handle that?
Okay, yeah, that's always that's always one of the major problems. But before I answer that question, I think I've got messages here. Some people feels they're not getting the audio. I'm sure that you can all hear me very well, right? I don't know why someone is saying that he or she can't get my audio. But Kate, you can hear me very well, right?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Okay, that
Yes, we
means
can hear you.
the problem is from others, not uh, plus okay. I just get another message. Someone is saying they didn't get a follow-up email. Maybe they don't check their spam and the rest, because most of those emails may have gone to their spam. Okay, so let me start from the last question. You talk about what you just asking basically is about change management in projects, like making project changes, right, Kate?
Yes, maybe when the
Yes.
project is far gone.
Yeah, yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot with stakeholders coming in to make a lot of changes. That's why PMI says before you start any project, there has to be a project charter, and then there has to be a project plan or project management plan. A lot of organizations just wakes up and then they start doing things, and then at the end of it, so this what we call at the planning stage is what we call collecting requirements. That is similar to business analysis. So what collecting requirements means is you meet up with all stakeholders. So that problem, that change could be caused by stakeholders. It could be caused by the project manager. So from the project manager's perspective, it could be that the project manager did not, uh, perform requirement collection. So what this means is that the project manager did not take time. Project manager did not take time uh, to collect the requirement. Requirement day means did not take time to know what is needed in the project. What do we need this project to achieve? What are the things we need to be part of this project? If it was going to be a website project, what are the informations you need this website to contain? What are the things you need this website to be able to do? You do everything possible to collect all the requirements from all the respective stakeholders. So a lot of project managers who are not skilled in project management do not know that. So somebody comes, okay, I want you to build me a website, and then they just start building websites without necessarily taking time to ask all the, and there's also what we call stakeholders identification. This is not project management training. It is just a guide to you starting it out. If it was the actual training, which I do carry out, you will be taught all these things. This is what we call stakeholders identification, which you take time to identify all the possible stakeholders, all the people who could need to make changes to this project, all the people who could affect this project with changes or anything. When you identify them, you now go to them and ask them, what do you need in this project? Once you do that, you'll be able to limit how much change you need. But it doesn't necessarily mean that certainly you're going to limit changes. Now, there are these crazy stakeholders that will come when the project has already been implemented, far gone, and then we have passed a certain stage and they come with a particular project. As a project manager or as a project team member, if you're just a project team member, you need to refer the stakeholder to the project manager or to the management team of the project. If, if they are if there are other or bigger authorities in the project, that has to be referred to. Okay, you're not the one to, you're just maybe you're one of the development team, you might not be able to just add that change in that project. You should be able to refer them to the higher authority. But if you are the project manager, you're the top guy, but this project is far gone, and then this change will affect time, will affect the cost in the real sense, you should be able to make that stakeholder know that, okay, these were the requirements. If proper requirements were collected and then the project was baseline, this is with this thing you're asking me to do is out of scope, so we will not need that. But if that stakeholder is a very big stakeholder in the project, probably that has to be channeled to a higher authority in that project, because there are some things you cannot change as a project manager, most especially if you're just coming outside managing a project for a client. Now, if you are managing that project for a client in real life, managing that project for the client, and then that particular client is the person that wants you to put or to bring in that change, and it's going to affect time, it's going to affect schedule, it's going to affect the budget. Certainly, you need to first of all consider how this change affects all these constraints. That is the cost, the budget, that's finance. How? If you're able to determine how much needs to be added, how much time, you communicate that to the stakeholder. Okay, this change you want me to impute, it's no problem. It wasn't part of the project scope, it wasn't in the charter, it's not part of the project plan. But since you need it and you're the owner of this project, this will cost this additional amount of money. This will require this time. You guys negotiate. If that is agreed at the end, you make the change. If it is not, then that change is not implemented. We go by what we had already had in our project scope, well baselined, and what we agreed. If it's a one-on-one person, like for example, you're just the one person that is going to build a website or event for the other person, that's easy. But when it is an organizational project, that change has to go to the hierarchies. They have to determine. You don't just need to necessarily just impute that change, even if it doesn't require additional time and cost. Sometimes it could be something that the organization doesn't want or the customer doesn't want. It doesn't have to be there. But that's where a project manager has to be a good communicator. You need to find the best way to make that stakeholder understand that we cannot make this change. There are always two or more ways to communicating a particular point. One can cause a problem. Oga, carry that thing go. We can't do that. Don't even try it. That can be a problem if that stakeholder has some power to affect the project. But where you say, okay, sir, you understand that this was the project scope, this project was to achieve this and that. That thing you want us to bring in is not part of the scope, and then it doesn't affect this project positively. Instead, it's going to cost us more money. It's going to delay the completion time of this project, and then will not add any benefit to this project. You explain it well, the person understands, you're able to deal with that. If it is something beyond your power, okay, sir, that's fine. We appreciate the fact that you have identified this requirement and you've brought it. This has to be channeled to this authority. They are the ones saddled with the power to implement or to implement any change or to approve any change. If you're given with the responsibility, the power to accept or reject, you analyze the effect of that change on the cost, on the schedule, and other aspects of the project. If it doesn't have any financial implication or any implication on the duration, and then also of value, at your own discretion, you can do it. So there are several scenarios that can happen. But at the end of it, if it is off your power, it has to go to the higher authority to approve that change. But at all times, always analyze a change, the effect of that change on the project's schedule, the project scope, and then the project's finance, because those are the three major things. Because a change can bring about additional days to the project, can bring additional finance. First of all, always do that. Once you do that, the next phase is if you need to take that request higher, if it wasn't within your powers. Yeah, so that's in real life. But if you are to sit for a particular certification exam, they have their different steps on how to go about changes, which you have to follow that for the purpose of passing the exams, for example, PMI exams. But in real life project management, you need to first of all analyze the effect on it on the major project constraint, which is the scope, which is finance, schedule, and then take decisions based on that. I don't know if you understand that.
Yes, I do understand. Thank you very much.
Okay,
So
the
I
first question. The first question was about
tools to
okay,
use.
tools. When you say
Yes,
tools, you're just basically the kind of like softwares you can use to
yes,
manage projects,
yes,
manage tasks.
yes,
Yes, it is
yes.
part of this. It is part of this this webinar. We are going to go into that. So when we get there, you'll get to know them. Okay, for now, and I will pose questions and then okay. Peace Eze says, I also have a question about volunteering. Where can you recommend someone just starting up to find? Okay, we'll come to that. It's part of this webinar. So I'm glad we understand a lot of things. So we will move on to we'll continue from there. Okay, project management is a cross-cutting profession and skill. There's projects and project management in every profession or industry: health, law, engineering, governments, development, and non-profit, finance, etc. So irrespective of your profession, you can be a professional project manager. That is self-explanatory. There is projects across every sector. People used to think that project management is just um, a, a profession on its own. Yes, it is profession for people who wants to be professional project managers. But as long as there is projects across every area of life, in law, there is projects. In health, there is projects. In government, there are projects. In fact, that's where there are a lot of projects. The word project have been overflowed. In development and non-profit, there are projects. Polio vaccination is a project carried out by, is it uh, Rotary or thereabout? It's a project. There's project in the finance industry. There's project in oil. In fact, after government, there's so much project in oil and gas. So there's project across every field. So the project management knowledge or skill or profession is not limited to a specific area only. So irrespective of your career path, irrespective of your skill, irrespective of your industry, there is project and you can be a project manager because there are projects in those areas. It will be of good advantage if you are a good and well-trained professional project manager and still technically vested in the area of your industry. So that is an added advantage. That's an added advantage. So you have the technical knowledge of the project work, and then you also have the technical professional knowledge or skills and experience in project management. So this is me saying that irrespective of your industry, career path, skill set, project management knowledge, project management skill is needed for all of you. You can be a project manager irrespective of your industry. So where do I start? So as I said, irrespective of your sector industry, the best starting point is general project and traditional project management. There are a lot of free and paid courses out there. So where do I start? I always advise people start at the general or start from the general or traditional project management knowledge. Someone could ask me, what is general or traditional project management? Yes, they are just when I made mention of this generic project life cycle, I made mention of the fact that in today's world, there are so many different life cycles of a project based on the industry or based on a particular project. This life cycle works more in construction, in oil and gas, in the building sector, whereby we are going to construct something, road, bridge, we initiate, we plan everything from the start, we know how much it's going to cost, we start implementing, and then we take it to closure. But if you want to develop, if it's a project that's going to develop a mobile app or a project that's going to develop a website or a technology project that's going to bring into existence a new technology, this life cycle might not be obtainable. So, but irrespective of your industry, the best advice I give to people is start your project management knowledge from the general and traditional project, because that is where every other methodology, every other framework, every other life cycle starts from. Today, we talk of Agile, and even in Agile, we have other frameworks like Scrum, we have Kanban, we have Lean, we have Six Sigma, we have Extreme Programming, all being different life cycle, different approaches you can manage projects from, and or being different areas you can specialize. But all those are gotten from the traditional, from the root, which is the general or the waterfall project management. During project management training, you get to understand all this, but we are not here for the training, it's just giving you the general overview, a guide into starting it out. So I always say my first step is get knowledge first. This is where a lot of people make mistakes. A lot of people have made mistakes here. Yes, a lot of people have made mistakes here. They have they have they have started their project management knowledge with certifications. They just go, and so what they do is they want to learn project management, and their first training is taking a certification training. Now, people ask me, what's the difference? If, for example, you're taking a PMP certification or CAPM or PRINCE2 or whatever, every certification has their own syllables, their own content, because when you take a certification preparatory course, what that course does is to guide you to prepare for the certification exams. That course does not teach you proper project management generally as it should be. It guides you to taking that exams. So you could take that course, get the knowledge, cram everything, and go write a certification exams, and then you pass an exams. And then coming into actual project management, coming to do the practical work, you can't. That's where they laugh a lot of people, and then probably when you go to an industry with certifications, they will tell you, it's not about certifications. And it is true. There are a lot of people who can come do that thing more than you, but they don't have certifications. So my advice to people beginning in project management, I always say knowledge first. Go for the knowledge first. Find where learn. There are a lot of courses out there which I would recommend that you can start learning project management generally, irrespective. Like, they don't base the content on a particular certification body or a particular certification syllabus. No, they teach you general project management. So step one, go for the knowledge. A lot of people make the mistake of starting their entry into project management with specific or with a certification in mind. So the first thing you are going into, that's actually what happens now. First thing everybody thinks when once they say PMP is certification. Certification as the very first thing, which should not be so. So everybody wants to go for the certification. I want to have, and sometimes getting the certification, they don't even know which certification they need to go for first, because there are entry level certifications that when you present, somebody knows that, okay, you have the knowledge. For example, in PMP, project management, if you're talking about certifications, one of the highest in the industry is one of the highest in the industry is PMP. That's why a lot of people shout, oh, I have PMP, I have PMP, I have PMP. So PMP is the highest. So people start with PMP certification. By the time I am the HR and then you're coming with a PMP certification, I would think that you are already a professional, because PMP certification is for people that have both the knowledge and experience. They have worked on projects for years. It's not just about the knowledge and at least 4 years of experience. So people don't know. People start with the highest certification possible. Whereas one of the entry-level certifications is what we call CAPM, that's Certified Associate in Project Management. So if you come with that, I will just know that, okay, what you have is project management knowledge, that you have been trained in project management. So this certification shows that you have the knowledge. So that means you don't have much practical experience. So in that case, I won't give you responsibilities. that requires a pro project manager. So people go in because they want to get the job, and then they want, at the end of it, you go in there, you're given responsibility, you can't implement a big project because your certification had shown that you can implement a big project. So by this, they start learning with prep course. I've mentioned about that. You want to start learning project management, the first course you're taking is a certification preparatory course. No, that is wrong. Because what that certification preparatory course will do is to prepare you to write the exams. You will certainly write that certification exams and pass, but it doesn't really necessarily teach you project management. It is just like you want to be a good accountant. Probably you didn't study finance, you didn't study accounting, and then your first knowledge you want to gain is starting ICANN training. ICANN training will teach you everything you need to know about ICANN exams, but we will not necessarily teach you general accounting, irrespective of whatever standard you want to use. So professional certifications prepares you to be able to do project management based on their syllabus, based on their content. So you will take that course, you prepare, you take the exams, and then you are going to pass the exams. But it doesn't necessarily make you to understand project management very well. Sometimes someone who started this webinar with us may have good project management understanding than someone who is going to go pay for a certification preparatory course, take the exams, complete the course. The course is only trying to prepare you for that exam, not necessarily telling you everything. There's some content, there's something the exams will not cover, and then they are not going to bring that into the course because it is not part of the exams. So when you want to start learning project management, don't go for preparatory course. For example, PMP prep course, CAPM, PRINCE2, and all other certifications out there. You first of all try to gain, whether you're learning it or you gain the project management knowledge through experience, through actually working. Then when you are done, after months, maybe after a year, you can now go for certification. Certification is just to show that, okay, you are vested in this and you are good in this, certifying your ability. So that's what that mistake a lot of people make. And also it is unethical and unprofessional to have a certification that doesn't match one's level of knowledge and experience. I say it. For example, PMI offers two key certifications in project management. One is CAPM, that's Certified Associate in Project Management. It is the entry level. CAPM shows that you have been trained in project management, but you don't necessarily have the experience. So you have the theoretical knowledge, you know the principles. If you are given small projects, you can apply these principles and then you do it to some good extent. While PMP, that is Project Management Professional, is the highest. It means you have been trained, you have the knowledge, and then you also work at least for the past 4 years as a project manager or on projects. So some people, since they can manipulate, they just manipulate and then file in some false projects, and then they are approved to write the exams, they take the course, sit for the exams and pass, and then they have certifications, but not necessarily the knowledge that could help them excel in project management. So step one, go for knowledge first. Let's keep certification aside. Certification will come later when you've gotten the good knowledge. So step two, put the knowledge to work. You've started learning project management. You could use LinkedIn, you could use Coursera, you could use Udemy, you could even use YouTube. You've started learning these things. While you are learning, try to put it to work. So I wrote here, from day one of your project management knowledge, strive to start putting the knowledge to use in your daily life, work, or any opportunity you have. So someone asks, how can I do that? How can I start gaining the needed experience? I always tell people that my professional career started as a volunteer. I just decided to start volunteering, working for free for an NGO. At the end of it, that NGO happened to have been my first employment, because after working for about 1 or 2 years for free, when they wanted to employ additional staff, they considered me. Oh, you've been here with us, so you're the perfect, will you want to work with us? I said yes. So that was how I got my first job without even having to apply for it. And that's where I've been working full time, apart from my consulting and trainings. So you get the knowledge, find somewhere to start practicalizing that. It could be in church, they have a project, you volunteer to be part of the project team. It could be in your association, maybe Old Boys Association, you volunteer to lead the project. And then what are you going to do? You're going to start implement, even if there's a small project of producing an almanac or launching exercise books, you could try to bring in professional project management process of initiating it, um, planning it, executing it, monitoring and control, and then closing out. You could just take that thing, go give someone to, but you decide to use professional project management approach. What that thing does, you're not trying to show off, you're just trying to apply that thing you did or you learned into actual way of managing projects. So in 1 or 2 years time, the next one could be something bigger than that, and you keep applying. So there's so many ways we can apply that project management knowledge you are going to learn. So take advantage of NGO volunteer opportunities. There are a lot of small NGOs, orphanages, a lot of non-profit activities ongoing. If you're on LinkedIn, which I will encourage everybody on this webinar to be on LinkedIn, there are a lot of volunteer opportunities, a lot of volunteer courses out there. Some of them you can do it virtually. All what that does is to give you the experience, and you can add this on your CV when you're ready. Maybe you're a student, I actually started volunteering when I was a student. So the moment I finished my project, that was where the opportunity came. So sometimes people ask, how can I have 2 years experience after just leaving school, as a lot of employers want? The simple question to me is always volunteer. Yes, people may use you, walk into a particular office, work in a particular organization, that you're trying to gain skills in project management, that you want to join their project management team and volunteer and work for free, even if they don't pay you. But at the end of it, you're gaining that experience. You will use that experience on your CV and then get a better job. So that's always NGO volunteering opportunities, whether in church, associations, or wherever we find ourselves, are always the best opportunity to apply whatever knowledge we want to apply in real life. Step 3, continue the learning. Sometimes people just take one course and then that ends it. Today's world, a lot of things are changing. Project management, the same thing. For example, people who wants to go for CAPM exams, people who prepared for the exams 2 months ago and did not write the exams, they have to go back and prepare for it again, because just last month, PMI changed the syllabus. Before, it used to be traditional project management and agile, but now they have added business analysis. So as a project incoming, or as a young project manager, you are expected to learn business analysis now, learn the traditional project management, and also learn agile project management. Before, it used to be only traditional project management. During the COVID, when things started changing, they added agile. Just last month, they added business analysis. So the profession keeps changing. What is required keeps changing. Skill sets keep changing. So you need to continuously learn and learn, even till you die. Till today, I got my PMP certification in 2019. Till today, I am still taking even those smallest project management courses, because new knowledge are added every day. There's some things you need to know newly. Before, agile was not compulsory. Now, for you are expected to learn agile project management, because technology is applied to everything, and this fast changing society, almost every day things are changing. So you need to be able to use agile project management approach for your project, so that it will accommodate those fast changing aspects of the project. So continue learning. Step 4, you're ready for PM role, advanced PM role. all these times you've just been trying to apply the knowledge. When you've done these 3 steps, you could be confident enough to apply for a top project management role. You never can know, because you are sure that you've gained the knowledge, the needed amount of knowledge. You'll be able to apply this knowledge and gain some level amount of experience. So you'll be confident enough to say, okay, let me apply for a bigger project management role. It's 50-50. You apply, it could work out, it may not work out. But at this point, after starting the knowledge and then putting it to work through the little opportunities you have and then continuing learning to expand your knowledge, you should be confident enough to start applying for even bigger project management role. Even in that organization you volunteered for, that okay, if the opportunity for full-time staff in project management department, you want to do it, take it. And then step 5, when you have done this, because one thing about certification is that it needs money. Certification requires a lot of money. The amount of money, for example, a PMP certification currently with our exchange rate is almost 500,000 for the certification exams alone. It is almost 500,000. So you need to work and even have money for you to get certified. And after you certify, you're certified. This certificate expires after 3 years. So you're expected to maintain and renew it. So even the renewal, the whole maintenance and renewal requires money. So you need to be at this stage, get a better project management role that can pay you well, and then you now consider certification. But before you get this role, if you have the money to go for certification, because certifications are getting more expensive, more especially since these certifications are actually foreign certifications, if you want to compare the amount to the currency, to our local currency, it becomes very expensive. So then at the higher stage, which is step 5, you will consider certification and then provisional membership. That's when you could decide to join PMI as a member. Yes, people will say, why do I need to be a member? Professional membership is one of the most important things I can always tell any professional to do. It's not just about those acronyms you are going to add to your name, like PMP. No, it's about having a group of professionals which you can reach out to if you have any job that is challenging. Till tomorrow, no matter how highly professional or skilled you are, there will still be need for you to reach out to other professionals that are higher than you. You're still going to be facing problems. So that's where professional membership comes in. There's some issues I come across in projects. I'm a PMI, Project Management Institute member. I would go to our platform, put it out there. There are people that manage even bigger projects across the whole world. They will say, okay, when I had this similar problem, this is what I did, this is what I did. And then you could learn from that and apply the skill. So that is one of the importance of joining a professional institution. So I will always encourage at the higher level of it, as you grow higher in project management or in any field that you are, consider joining a professional institution. It is very, very important. It helps a lot in your professional growth. I have gained a lot from it. I have met people because of my professional institution membership. I have attended conferences where I've met top guys, become their friends. They refer opportunities to me. I refer to them. I have challenges. I reach out to them and they provide solutions. And then they also reach out to me and I provide solutions within my own level of knowledge. So at the higher level, consider getting certification and then professional membership. One of the questions this webinar needed to answer is, when should I get the certification? I will always say at the end, not at the very beginning. You don't start with certification. Start with the knowledge, gain the knowledge. When you get the knowledge, start applying it to gain the experience. Let the certification come to be that an icing on the cake that proves that you are well trained and you are well experienced, because that is what a certification should do. Certification should not be an academic paper. Professional certification shouldn't be an academic paper. It should be a paper that certainly certifies that this person is competent in this. Sometimes we could lie and then qualify for these exams. For example, PMP certification requires you to document all the projects you have been involved in for the past 4 years. before they approve that you sit for the exams. So people go lie, document false documentations, false projects, and then they get approved, they get the money, they have the money, so they sit for the PMP certification exams and they pass because they actually studied a syllable. And at the end of it, most of those people, I still have those people even in my in the platform who still ask, oh, to expand their project management experience, that they want opportunities. How can you be saying that you need project management experience when you already have a PMP? PMP certifications mean project management professional, not an associate. It is associate that is for the CAPM. But when you get the PMP, it means that for the past 4 years at least, you have been managing projects. So that's where you know people who just documented false projects and passed the exams. So when your certification come in, I will always say at the end, when you've gotten enough knowledge, you've started applying them, get some level of experience, you could now add certification to even expand it more. And what certification should you go for? Go for the entry level certification at first. Always advise people. If you want to go the PMI route, you want to go the PMI route, I will always say go for CAPM certification first. When you've gained a lot of experience, you can now go for the the PMP certification. CAPM is for entry level. If you want to go the other way, you could go for PRINCE2 Foundation. I will tell us about these different certifications toward the end of this webinar. Okay, so we proceed. So what and where should I start? What should I start learning with? Where should I start? First of all, I would say that if you contact me, I can organize an executive training for you. Executive in the sense that it is going to be me and you. So I am also a trainer, a project management trainer. So, but that one you're going to pay. It's executive. It's me and you. Either I come to your office within the agreed date, or we do it virtually, and then we agree on the fee you pay. Advantage is that you have someone physically which you know you can follow up. You need mentorship. You will guide even after the training, the guidance, the follow up is still there till you grow in the career path. So I do that. If you want to reach out to me for project management training that is outside certification training, and then training that are within certification. If you want the certification training, I can offer that. If you need general knowledge, which I always advise people to start from, start learning project management, not based on a particular certification syllable. No, start learning it generally. Now, different from that, probably you don't have that enough money to pay me to train, and then probably you don't also want to wait for my free classes, because I am planning with my team. We're going to, maybe before the year runs out, organized a professional project management training for selected people in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, because we don't want it to be virtual. We want it to be real life. It will be about, it's going to take 3 months because it's going to be on weekends. So that is going to come up. It's going to be expensive. Yeah, that is why it is on the pipeline at the moment. Expensive in the sense that I want it to be free, absolutely free. And I want it to be professional. Professional in the sense that we don't just gather in one uncompleted building to train. No, it's going to be something which I get a very good, a very good training hall with AC, with internet, and all of it to train people, because it's a professional training. It's not a tutorial. So that's where I think it's going to cost me about 300,000 to get a good hall we'll be using for 3 months. So that's why I am slowing it down, so I'll be able to get enough money to take care of that. That's just part of my community development services. Yes, so that is in the pipeline. But if you don't want to wait for that, and then maybe you're not in a Kwaibom, I will always say you can start learning project management with, if you go to Coursera, it's one of the best courses you could see online. You could see the Google Project Management Professional Certification, Professional Certificate. It is a very good course, a very good course. So go to, it's not free, it is free, but you will be required to apply for financial aid. So you will need to apply for financial aid to Google for them to approve that you take the course. But once you apply and they approve it, you're not going to pay a dime till you complete the course. So it is a very good start. And believe you me, if you are diligent enough, because a lot of people are not diligent in learning online, they just find a way and manipulate through to the end and download the certificate. But if you take your time to follow this course offered by Google, believe you me, you will enjoy it. So another place I also recommend is PMI themselves. PMI is the most popular, the global institution for project management. There is what they call kickoff. So kickoff is just like it's like introductory course that can give you a very good foundation for project management. It's something you can complete in few days, in 2 days. Yes, so it is very good course. I will drop the link later in our chat box. Maybe also send it to all our email addresses. So these are the two avenues. I can always say these are good starts. But if you go to YouTube, you could see introduction to project management, a lot of courses. Simply Learn does a lot of courses on YouTube, good courses that will give you a good guide to project management. You're not going to pay. All what you need is the money for your data. You go through these courses. If you go to EDX, most of the times no course is free, but you're still going to have good foundational courses. You go to Udemy. Udemy always carry out a lot of promos from time to time. You see a lot of good courses on Udemy, very cheap courses, but look out for the ones that are introductory. Look at the level of it. If you see in introductory, first level or something like that, that signifies that okay, this is an entry level knowledge, go for that one. Don't go for the intermediate, don't go for the advanced, because the things you are going to see will be higher than you get confused. Go for the introductory courses and then you will enjoy it. Recommendations, these two, I will drop the links to these courses there. If you go for these two, you will come back to thank me later, because you are going to have a good foundation in project management. You start from there and then take up other courses till when you want to go for a certification. So don't worry, very soon I will slide into the message section once again. So I take some questions. So what kind of courses should I enroll in at this stage? At the introductory stage, at the starting point, these are the kind of courses you should search for. Introduction to project management. When you search for such name, whether in EDX, Coursera, Allison, LinkedIn, YouTube, where you can find courses, videos, and all of it. Even if you want to read about it, use that name, Introduction to Project Management. You could also use Principles of Project Management. These are the names that will give you good startup courses, good entry-level courses, not advanced ones. And please take note, don't go for certification prep course. You will see some courses written PMP certification prep course. It's a good course when you want to get your PMP certification, but at the early stage, at the initial point, you don't take up those kind of courses, because what those courses will do is to teach you project management based on that particular certification exam syllabus. Yes, it doesn't teach you generally project management. So for example, PMI syllabus says no matter the condition you are in, you cannot start a project that has not been chartered with a written project charter. But how many of us in Nigeria start a project with a project charter? Most of the time, your boss gives you a straight directive. Kemine, I want you to start that project immediately. You don't have any choice. You need to start that project. But PMI says, irrespective of the condition, no matter where you find yourself, you cannot start a project that the project charter has not been well prepared, written, and signed, and your name stated there as the project manager. So if you want to write PMP exams and pass, if they ask you a question that's no matter what scenario they set, The answer is the project manager, the project charter has to be signed. Even if they say that your boss has traveled and is going to come back tomorrow and sign it, but it's not, say your boss says you should start the project today. PMI says no, till the project charter is signed and delivered. But in the real sense of project management, that may not happen because you'll be sacked. Your boss says do this, and then you're telling your boss, wait. I have had a situation whereby the general manager had given me an oral directive that go ahead and do this, but the company policy said anything that has to do with this and this, the directive should be from email. And I went back to my office, sent an email to the manager to send that directive through to me through email. My brothers and sisters, that was how my contract with that company was terminated that same day. It was found to be an insubordination or like an insult to the MD, that the MD gave me a verbal directive to do something, and I did not do it. I had to go to email to say the MD should confirm it through email. I am not telling you a fiction. Like my contract was terminated that day in that company. So in real life, it's different. Sometimes based on exam syllabus for certifications, it's different. So that's why I always advise, don't start learning project management based on exam syllabus. Go for the general knowledge. When you grow very well in it, and then it's time to take certification exams, you go take that certification exam syllabus and prepare yourself for the exams. So another question is, do I need a certification at all? At all? And if I need it, when? I think I've already mentioned something like that. Do I need a certification? If you're learning project management, because in today's world, project management skill is needed for everyone, whether you're a lawyer, for whatever you're doing in operations, supply chain, anything you're doing, you're a doctor, everybody needs project management skill. LinkedIn ranks project management skill as 7th of all the skills in this world. LinkedIn, 7th most needed skills for employment across any profession at all. So whether you want to be a pastor, whatever, you need to have project management skill. So in this case, if you are just learning project management as just one of the secondary skills you need to function well at the job, you're not actually trying to be a professional project manager, I can say, learn project management. You don't really need certification. Certifications are expensive. Get the knowledge, use YouTube, go for trainings. You don't necessarily need any project management certifications. You can use the certificate of trainings. For example, if I carry out the training, I'll give the certification of completion at the end of the training. You can use that to show you've been trained, you have the skills. You could go online, use online learning platforms and get certificates. Fine, like this Google certificate, it's a very good one. You don't necessarily need a professional certification like CAPM, PMP if you're not trying to be a professional manager. So do I need a certification? In that case, if it's just like one of those skills you need, for example, for me to be a good trainer, I have to be a good communicator. So I need to learn excellent communication skill. I don't really need to go for certification in communication or public speaking. It's just one of the skills I need. I'm not trying to be a professional in public speaking, but for me to be a good trainer, I have to be good at public speaking. In that case, you don't really need a certification. But if you intend to specialize as a professional project manager, managing projects, training people, consulting in projects, I would say at a certain level, you need a certification. But do you need that at the very start? I would say no. First of all, get the knowledge first, apply that knowledge and start gaining some practical experience. When you do that, you can now talk about certification at the end. So a lot of people tend to be carried away by certifications rather than the knowledge and competence. One thing in today's world, I don't see certification as being a proof of competence again, because people who are good at cramming, people are just naturally good at cramming, so they could cram contents and go into exam hall, write exams and pass and get the certification. Doesn't necessarily mean they are better than the other person who has taken time to learn, apply that knowledge and have the competency. Certification is good if you know when to get it, but if you don't know when to get it, Some people can manipulate and have certification, but they don't necessarily have the competence. So you don't necessarily need a certification to launch into project management. Rather, you need the knowledge and the competence at first. So that's self-explanatory. At first, you need the knowledge and the competence. When you have these two, you can go for certification. But should you want certification at the entry-level stage, I would say entry-level certification is ideal at intermediary to advanced level of certification of knowledge and competence. So you can, when you've started learning project management, at your intermediary level, between intermediary and advanced, I will say, okay, take up entry-level certification. For example, you've studied project management, you've attended courses, you've started applying that knowledge. At least it means you've passed the entry level, you've passed the beginner level, at least to intermediate. You have the knowledge, you don't really have enough experience. You can't say you're an expert. At that point, it is good to have an entry-level certification. For example, CAPM or PRINCE2, PRINCE2 Foundation. So what those certifications shows that is that you have been trained in project management. You have the knowledge, you have the principles, you have the tools and techniques you can apply, but you've not really been applying it to a lot of projects. So you have less experience. But if you are given the opportunity, you will understand it better than someone who have never even known what project management is. So that's what you do at that level. So what certification should I start with? Now, these are the two popular certifications when it has to do with project management. The first set there, that is CAPM versus PMP, is offered by one of the, not even one, the world most prestigious and known and renowned project management professional body. That's the PMI, Project Management Institute, headquarters in the US and has chapters across the whole countries of the world, almost all countries of the world. So their headquarters in the US, they are old. They are the most popular and most known project management professional body you can become. You can join. You can be a member. I am a member. And then they offer two certifications. Two major. There are so many other certifications. There are two major certifications that has to do with project management. One is CAPM. The other one is PMP. CAPM is the entry level. It shows that you have been trained. You have the knowledge, but you have little or no skill, no experience. So they don't require experience for you to sit for these exams, that you have been well trained and you have the knowledge, you can apply the knowledge if given the opportunity. That's what CAPM is, Certified Associate in Project Management. It shows that you are an associate, you're not the professional yet. On the other hand, you see PMP, it is still offered by PMI, Project Management Institute. That is the gold standard, like the top one in the industry, PMP. That's what a lot of people always want to go for. Once they hear project management, what they know, or the first thing that comes into their mind is PMP. People ask me, Mr. Kimni, I want to gain project management skills, so I want to get PMP certification. No, you're just trying to get the knowledge for the first time. You're talking about PMP certification. No. You gain the knowledge, try to apply them, and go for the CAPM. CAPM, as I said, the entry-level certification, while PMP is the expert level certification. That's why it's even called Project Management Professional. One of the requirements is that you have to have at least 4 years of experience in project management. And during the application for that exam, you'll be required to list all the projects you managed, and then numbers, contacts, in case they want to audit and be sure that you were involved. Differently, CAPM is almost global. It's global in the whole world. Other certification you can also go for is what we call the PRINCE2. PRINCE2, the UK always want to do their thing. Not actually the whole Europe, but UK. That's England, Scotland, Wales, I think about another country. They have their own certification, so they have their own framework. So they call it PRINCE2. That's the name of the certification, PRINCE2 certification. So they also have the PRINCE2 Foundation. They also have the PRINCE2 Practitioner. PRINCE2 Foundation is just similar to the CAPM, which is entry level. You have the knowledge, you have the training, but you have little or no experience in project management. So you go for the PRINCE2 Foundation. If you are experienced, similar to the PMP, PRINCE2 Practitioner. So if you go to LinkedIn, you see a lot of people carrying these names. Those are just, but apart from these two, there are others, but these are the most popular globally. The most popular one is the PMP and CAPM offered by Project Management Institute US, while PRINCE2 is the UK thing. They have their own framework, but the most popular globally, you want to go to Canada, US, Asia, other parts of the world, it's the PMI, PMP, or CAPM. So when you want to go for certifications, this is when you consider what you consider. CAPM at the start. I think CAPM currently is about $300 for the exams. That is exclusion of the course because you need to go for the course. I offer the course too. Go for the course that's going to prepare you for the exams. So you're going to pay for the course separately. The course, what the course does is to go and teach you project management based on what the syllabus of this exam entails. So it's almost like you're preparing yourself for exam, not actually learning project management. Yeah, but most of the times I used to blend my course such a way that you still learn project management while also focusing on the exam contents which you are going to use to prepare for your exams. So that's it about certifications when you want to go for certifications. Okay, before I come into this, streamlining to specific industry, I want to go back to the chat box and see if there are questions. I know a lot of people were asking questions. Okay, yeah, I met Peace Eze. If you're still here, I talked about how you can volunteer, where you can start, find an NGO is running projects. There are always a lot of NGO running projects around. Even in this state, there are so many of them. There are associations you belong to, maybe old student association, church. For example, in my church, my choir will be hosting a worship session. So that is a project. I could decide to say, okay, I want to be the chief the project manager of this project or the planner, even if I just want to call. So what I would do is I try to make sure that I apply all the things I was taught in project management, even in planning that worship concert they want to do. And then when I do that, I'll be able to see how unique professional project management approach is. So from there, you're beginning to gain experience. You can use that experience, that little experience there, to apply it in even a bigger project. You continuously build your experience in project management because it is hard. Let me not lie to you. It is hard for you to just bomb in and get a job in there in project management for you to gain your skills, maybe a high level. So it could start with the least possible. You start building, and good enough project management bodies or institutions do not really necessarily require those for you to be involved in those big projects like Dangote refinery projects, construction of Gospel Akpabio Stadium, nationals. No. As long as you are able to list those projects and use project terms to express why that was a project, those things add to your experience. Okay, so these are the avenues. Volunteer, even at your job. If you are already employed, there's a project in the organization, you could meet your managers. Okay, that you just want to be part of this team. You don't need to be paid for it, that you just want to be part of it and learn some experience, even if your job is not in the project management role. Project management. So those are avenues. So for those that are employed, those are avenues you can do that. For those who are self-employed, you are involving in projects every day. You can decide to use the knowledge you've learned to actually manage that project professionally, and then you gain experience. Okay, Alex asked, please, who are those referred to as stakeholders in a project? When you have a project, stakeholders are the people, every human being, institution, even the government, who can affect your project or who your project can affect. For example, a road construction project, the government are stakeholders, the construction companies are stakeholders, the community which that road is passing through is as stakeholders, because they can affect that project, they can also affected by the project. If you construct a road in a particular community and then that road causes flood, maybe the road did not have a drainage system, they will be affected by that road construction. So you also need to listen to them. They are stakeholders. So when we say stakeholders in any project or anywhere we use the word stakeholders, it doesn't necessarily mean big people. I know in this part of the world we refer stakeholders to like being the big names in a particular thing. No, they are everybody who is involved in one way or the other in the project. If it's a road project, the people that will be driving those trucks are stakeholders. People driving the trucks are stakeholders. People cleaning the trucks are stakeholders. Anybody in a way that is involved in that project and has a way of affecting that project, and that project also have a way of affecting him or her, that person is a stakeholder. So a stakeholder are all the people, humans, institutions involved. For example, you want to build your own poultry. For those who are in agriculture, I know Fanasa Brown is in agriculture, if she's still here. You want to build a new poultry farm, that is a project. And then if there are government laws that has to do with building, siting a poultry in a particular place, the government is a stakeholder because they can stop that project. They can affect that project. The community or their next neighbor who the smells from that poultry can affect is also a stakeholder. So if need be, you can also listen to him, because if he decides to go to court that this thing cited here can affect his health, the court could say, no, it shouldn't be cited here. That person has affected that your project. So you asked about events planner, and in events planning as a project, the people doing the wedding are major stakeholders. The people that are going to attend the events are stakeholders, because in one way or the other, they will affect that event. Sometimes the nature of the people that are coming could determine the nature of the DJ or the nature of the decoration you do. So those people are stakeholders. So in project management, we define stakeholder to be those persons, institutions, or group of persons that can affect or can be affected by the project. So that's just the understanding of stakeholders. I hope that's clear enough. Afanasa asked, I asked if you were open to mentorship and at what cost, if yes. Yes, I'm open to mentorship. I can guide you through, just like what I'm doing now. I can guide you through the whole process of taking it up in project management, starting what courses you should take. I can do that. You reach out to me through my WhatsApp. I can do that for free. LinkedIn, I can do that. I make a lot of posts about it free, without any cost. Cost only comes in if you want me to train. I'm going to use my resources, right? So that's where cost comes in. Okay, someone's hand is up. I think I will give you time for you to ask your question, but let me still continue with the chat box. Kate Ekbo, I think you can reach out. Okay, reach out on LinkedIn. You should be able to get better audience from him. Yes, if you reach out to me, in fact, people that contact me through LinkedIn, I always give preferential treatment to people who contact me through LinkedIn for anything professional compared to other social media. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can reach out to me. If you have my number, I know Fanasa does. You can reach out to me. I'm open to guiding anybody through project management at no cost. Cost only comes in when I have to train, because I'm going to use my time. I am going to develop the training content to fit you based on the level of knowledge. There are some people I assess and I know that they have the foundational level, so I could start at the intermediate level to teach them. So based on your level, I will have to design the training content to fit you. I am not that kind of a trainer or a consultant that has a one for all kind of approach, one training content that fits everyone. It is based on the need of that organization, based on the needs of that project. Is what we call tailoring in project. In a project PMI says you tailor project based on that project. So you decide to know what you need to bring in, what you don't need to bring in, based on the nature of that project. So that's what I do. Okay. Okay, Adiola, thank you so much for this. Okay, trick, Prince2 Foundation does not expire while the PMP. Yes, thank you for that information. Well, once, if you're going for Prince2, which is more of the UK and some part of Europe, yeah, I know that, don't get me wrong, you can get Prince2 this certification from any part of the world, but it is a framework that particularly suits project management in the UK. You know, unlike rest of the world, like Nigeria, the government has not really set a certain standard and say, okay, this is the methodology, this is what we need to follow in if you have a project in Nigeria to manage. So we can get our ideologies from anywhere in the world. But the UK has a methodology, a flow, a kind of a standard. Let me use the word standard. So that's where Prince2 comes in. It doesn't expire. PMP expires after 3 years. Yes, after 3 years, you need to gain what we call PDU and all of it, and then you renew at the end. Prince2, how recognized is Prince2? That is what I'm saying. If you are in the UK or you have a plan to go to the UK, you want to work in the UK, you want to consult for UK companies or institutions, I would say Prince2 over PMP. But outside the UK, the rest of the world, I would say PMP is most widely recognized certification in project management. So Trick, L'Aquila, I think I've been able to answer that. Prince2, if you have anything to do with the UK and some part of Europe, I would say Prince2. But outside UK and some part of Europe, the rest of the world, America, Asia, Africa, Australia, the rest of the world is PMP. That's most recognized. Okay, sir. Is certificates like International Institute of Safety and Project Management associate certificates relevant, or was it be PMI? No, 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 no. When we talk about PMI, PMI is because it is very popular. PMI is global. It doesn't necessarily mean that your certification has to. So if you want to learn project management based on the IISPM, as long as they teach you project management, I don't have any problem with that. In fact, to me, the most important thing is people learning and knowing project management skills, because a lot of projects are failing because of poor project management. So when people have good project management, that is the most important thing to me. It's not about which certification they have. But the world values certification, and one of the most popular, more widely accepted and recognized in the whole world, is that of PMI. That is why a lot of people make reference to PMI certifications. Not that those are the only certifications. There are some others. There's what we call this management institute, so online. They also have project management certification. CIM, Certified Management Institute. I think CIM is in the UK or something in Europe. They all offer project management certificate. There are so many other institutions out there. There are some that are even affiliated to PMI. There are so many. So you can get the certification. It's a proof of your competence, a proof of your knowledge. But sometimes we live in a world whereby people want those ones that are recognized by others. So that is where PMI comes in. PMI is the most recognized globally. And think after that is the the Prince2 certifications. Okay, start to serve. This is quite educating, interesting. I am really appreciating getting more of the knowledge. Okay, experience. All right, thank you very much. Start to serve, sir. I will want to join your mentorship program. How do we start about that? Okay, a lot of people are. Looks like people are encouraging me to do an open mentorship kind of this thing. I think I will consider that. But most is what I do now is people reach out to me and say, okay, this is what I want, these are the problems I have, and I just try to guide. That's it. I make recommendations. Most times it works, most times so, but at the end of it, the choice is just, but I try to provide you with all information needed possible, just like I am doing now. Oh, that's excellent. Okay. Kindly share your contacts. Okay, I will do that. Most of you received an email from me, so that's my email address. That's most professional way to get me. I think before the end of this, I would also drop my LinkedIn a link to the chats group, so that you can see you can access my LinkedIn profile, connect with me, and let's communicate. Okay, Trick Laquila says, have to leave. Thank you for a great session. Okay, thank you, Trick. Was nice having you. So we will continue. Okay, I think, is there anybody that was to ask a question? Any hands? I can't see any. I think I will continue from there so that all the questions will come at the end. This was to be a 2-hour session, and then, but we have already exceeded that. But in no time, we would come to an end soon. So project management, as I said, is across all industries. Yes. Now, based on the uniqueness of specific industry, there are specific methodologies people have to follow. Now, so when we say project management, we have the traditional project management, which I showed you how it works. Traditional project management looks like this. Straight line. You initiate, you plan, you execute, you monitor, and you close. So you plan and do everything for the whole project entirely. But there are new life cycles, there are new methodologies like Agile that are up now, and then it looks different. So if you are to learn project management, I always recommend start with the general project management, traditional project management, which you can see here. If you can see my course, or you could see traditional project management. You want to go for certification, you can go for CAPM, PMP. I think someone's mic is on mute. Kate, can you kindly mute? Okay, thank you. So if you can see my cursor, you will see traditional project management, and the certifications you can get there is CAPM, PMP, PRINCE2 Foundation, PRINCE2 Practitioner, and then I always say start with that, and then take up hybrid project management training. Hybrid project management is just to say combination of traditional and agile. I will come to what agile means. Agile is one of the newest approach to project management. Agile came because we live in a world whereby there are changes every day. So you're managing a project that is going to last for 3 years. Before you finish, there could be a new technology, there could be a new need, there could be a new requirement. So I think Kate asked a question with respect to that. So one of the solutions to ever-changing requirements from stakeholders is agile project management. That is where a lot of people are learning project management from today, most especially before it was used in the tech sector. Anything technology project, software development project, that is where agile was used. But now it is almost everywhere. The effect of change in the society has affected almost every sector. So there's agile project management in almost every area. So if you say construction project management, construction project management sticks to the traditional project management. That is why we have a lot of PMP certified people from the construction industry, because we plan. If you want to build a house, you plan everything. For example, government wants to construct a road, they plan everything. They know the length of the road, they know how much it will cost, because they're not going to add additional money tomorrow. They may have some markup ranges or some contingency funds kept, but you can't say contract was to be 200 million, and then at the end of it, that contract will cost 20 million. No. So in the government project, in the construction project, they still stick to this traditional approach whereby everything is planned at the beginning and then you start implementing. But in today's world, things are changing. So we use more of agile, or sometimes we combine both agile and traditional and have what we call hybrid project management. And once you hear hybrid, it means combining 1 or 2 or 3 more things together, and it works as one. So we have the construction sector, technology sector, manufacturing sector. It might not be paramount. It might not be, how will I put it? It might not be very fixed, set that this is what happens. But in most cases, the the construction sector, the government sector would always use the traditional project management, where we initiate the project and plan everything to the end before we start implementing. But in today's world, more especially in technology, we use much of agile. In agile, we plan and do and review to see how it works. We take it back, we plan the next one and keep planning and doing and planning and doing and adding it. We do it incrementally. That's what it's called, incremental approach to project management. For example, you are going to manage a website project. We first of all develop the home page. Then after doing that, we test and see how it works. After testing, everything works very fine. We now go to the about page and start developing the about page and come to add with this one. Everything works well. If there were going to be a payment gateway integrated, we integrate. We keep doing each part. We plan and do, plan and do, plan and do, test, plan, do, test, plan, do, test, till we are able to do every part of the project. But if it is government or say construction project, we do the planning first. We plan everything, plan to know how many bridges will be constructed. We plan to know the size of the bridge, the length of the road, how much is going to cost, what we will use and what we will not use. If it was to be with drainage, we construct with drainage. We can't go and we can't construct the road and then at the end, at some point, there's need to make it a dual carriage and then we do a dual carriage. No, what was planned is what we implement, except there are changes. So, but agile is different. We plan, do, and at all times we are adding more things. That's how it is done. Sometimes it becomes more expensive because we don't have a fixed scope of it. So in technology, you go for agile. And now in agile, there are other frameworks. If Frank is here, Frank will understand because Frank is a product manager, and they do a lot of product development and uses agile. The most popular is Scrum. Most of us will not understand this until we start learning project management. But if you want to, this is me saying, if you want to go into, if you're in the technology sector, I will say this is the route you should take. Learn the general project management, learn agile project management, understand the difference between both of them and understand how you can use both of them. Then streamline it to agile. Come and specialize in agile. When you learn agile, find a framework that suits your industry, the particular work you do. The most used framework in agile project management in the whole world now is Scrum. For those of us who are on LinkedIn, you hear a lot of things about Scrum. Scrum is the most popular. So when you learn agile, you can decide to get ACP certification, Agile Certified Practitioner, offered by PMI. And then you could decide to come and say, okay, I'm in technology, so I want to specialize and stay in Scrum. So that's when you can go for CSM, that's Certified Scrum Master or Professional Scrum Master. I can also do courses here. Scale Agile Framework, SEF. You could decide to specialize in XP. After Scrum, the most used is XP. Kanban is just for visualization, but it's also an area of agile project management. Yes. If you're a manufacturing sector, for those, someone asks question from the operations industry. Manufacturing, those who that carries out operations, they use much of agile, and what they use more in manufacturing, they use more of Lean and Six Sigma. Now, there's this new thing that combines both of them and call it Lean Six Sigma. Six Sigma is for process improvement. Maybe we used to use 3 days to produce so number of products, and then there are always a so number of defects. We want to reduce the amount of defect goods from our production from so amount to so amount. That's a project, and that method of project is what they call Six Sigma. So if you're in the manufacturing, I would say study project management, understand agile. Depending on what you produce, go for Six Sigma, green belt, black belt. You would be highly sought after. Learn lean management. Lean is ability to use the less resources and produce more. So reducing waste. That's what lean is all about. Six Sigma is reducing defect. So both relate. So if you are in the manufacturing sector that carries a lot of operations, Six Sigma and Lean is one of the things you need to, after learning the general project management, one of the things you need to streamline and be specialist in. If you're in the technology in industry, Agile is still the thing, and then come and specialize. Most especially, I will always recommend Scrum. Come and specialize in Scrum. Get a certification in Scrum, and you'll be highly sought after. If you are in the construction industry, PMI has this thing now. I think PMI CP, that's construction professional. That's what they call it, PMI CP. So they teach you general project management, they teach you agile, and then they streamline it to how you can apply this only in construction. So this PMI CP if you are in construction. And if you're in construction, I will also say learn agile also, because now there's a lot of technology in construction. With 5G coming, there's going to be a lot of automated doors, automated houses, smart doors, smart everything in the house, where a lot of the functionalities are coded into. So your construction project manager, there's need for agile, the need for Scrum, need for XP, because there will be a lot of programmings now, even in construction project management. So what this chart or this table shows is how you can start learning your project manager and streamline it to the industry you are. If you're in the development sector like me, developments in like government and NGO, I would say learn the general traditional project management. Learn agile too. Sometimes you can just stop with that general project management, because the government and development sector still sticks to the general and the waterfall or traditional project management. They still stick to that. Yeah. But we are living in the world where things keeps changing. So there's need for everyone to learn agile project management, irrespective of the industry you find yourself. So this is just a table that shows how you streamline to a specific industry. So you now see, irrespective of the industry you are, the first thing you do is learn the general project management, which is the foundation, the traditional project management. They also call it waterfall, plan-based. That was the first approach to project management that ever existed. And every new one gets their roots from there. Learn that one generally, and now, depending on your industry, you can start streamlining into to new methodologies, to frameworks, whether it is Agile, whether it is Scrum, whether it is Six Sigma, whether it is Lean, whether it is XP, Kanban. You will understand, but you may not understand all these ones now. But first place you need to understand is the general traditional project management, which you need to learn and be good first before. I started with the general project management, and then I learned agile project management, and now I'm streamlining it to specialize in Scrum, because the technology industry is the new oil. We used to say before. For those now, to me, I would say it's the new blood money. The tech sector is very wide, it's accommodating, it's paying. So there's need for us to specialize in different areas, whether you're just managing the product development, or it is wide. So depending on where you want to specialize in, currently I'm developing my competence in Scrum. I've been rooted in the general project management. I've rooted in Agile, which Agile basically exposes you to all the methodologies that is there out there, whether Scrum, whether XP, whether Kanban, whether Lean Six Sigma, whether Lean, whatever. Now, when you're exposed to all of it through Agile project management, you now streamline it to the specific one. Why I recommended this course is that this course by Google has all this: the traditional project management, agile project management, Scrum, Lean, XP. This course is a full course for project management professional. You will enjoy it. So take advantage of it. But you have to speak some English for Google to be able to give you the financial aid, like say scholarship. But almost everybody gets it. If you apply for it, just try to convince Google why you need that to take the course. Google will give you the course. Okay. I think Kate or someone else asked about the tools. I don't know who asked about the tools. Was this Kate or someone else? But if you ask about tools for project management, I would say generally for the traditional project management, if you can learn Microsoft Project, actually one of the first and the biggest name that existed in it. Microsoft Project is just one of the Microsoft suites, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Access. We also have Microsoft Project. It is an all-in-one project management tool, traditional. We also have Oracle's Primavera. Primavera is also another tool. It's also the traditional, one of those old ones that have been there and they're still here till today. Now, the contemporary ones, if you need people to teach you, Frank is in this meeting. Frank Awana, if you go to LinkedIn, you can meet him. He's vested with most of these latest tools that are out there. There's one we call Asana. There's also Monday.com. There's also Monday.com. There's also Jira. There's also Zoho Project. There is Trello. Trello is there. A lot of content creators uses Trello. There's Google Workspace. I know Google Workspace is not actually a project management tool that is one in all. No, it's just a combination of all the tools they have, like Gmail, Sheets, Doc. If you combine all of them, you can use that to manage your project. So those are the tools. Contemporary, I would say Asana, Monday.com, Jira. Just learn one of them. Yeah, but sometimes when we go, if we are employed, our organizations may use one. So it's always good for you to just go in there, learn the one they use there, and start making. They are not hard to actually learn, more especially these new ones compared to Microsoft Project and Oracle Primavera. Okay, so those are the tools that are out there. You can search on Google and get to know more. There are even free trainings on how to use these things on YouTube. So which of these tools are free? I would say no tools normally is free, but in Nigeria, you always have a lot of cracked version of these things. Microsoft Word, if you buy any Microsoft Office you buy, will always come with Microsoft Project. So you have it there. Yeah, I don't encourage using pirated version of tools, even if Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office, and all of it. But once you buy Microsoft Office, that CD, you want to install all of them except this Microsoft project that is there. It's free. Google Workspace, if you combine Google Workspace, all the features of Google Sheets, if you go to Google Sheets, you will see a project planning template, something like that. It is there. So that is free. Trello, Zoho, Jira, they all have their free versions. So there are some things that you can use for free, but if you want advanced features, that's when you could need to start paying for it. But you can all use them free, some free versions, and have access to a lot of features that you can use to plan and implement your project. Almost all of them. Some of them you just need to pay a little amount of money. But sometimes if you are going to work as a project manager, the tool you need to specialize in is the one that your company uses, because your company must always use one. It could be the one that the company builds by themselves. You need to specialize in that one. It could be any of them. You need to specialize. It's not really hard for you to learn. Just managing tasks. Yeah, that's how it works. So I can't really say, but in these days, a lot of people are using Asana. A lot of people are using Monday.com. A lot of people are using Jira. Currently, I'm trying to learn and use Jira very well. A lot of content creators like web developers, graphic designers are using Trello. I also use Google Workspace. Google Workspace, when you click that, that's all those Google tools. Everything that is there, you can use and manage your project differently at what we call Google Workspace. For example, this whole webinar is a project, and I've been able to do it with Google Workspace. I've been able to schedule the meeting using Google Calendar, which you can use to manage tasks, and then I incorporated with Google Meet. And then with this Google Meet, I'm able to stream this to YouTube as we're speaking. And then I'm able to contact the project team. For example, you people are the project team. So all the 50-something people that registered for this, just click of one button, I'm able to send notification and email to all the people in the project. So I have been able to use the Google Workspace, all the features of Google Workspace as a project management tool. As simple as that. If you use Microsoft Word, a Microsoft project is you're able to, it's easy for you to integrate it to Microsoft Calendar, Microsoft Outlook email, we can use to notify all the people in the project team. You integrate it to all other Microsoft features. Your budget can be prepared with Microsoft Excel, all integrated into this Microsoft project. That is how they work, so that you can be able to see the task, budget, who you assign jobs to, all in one place. So those are the tools. You could choose one. Contemporary, I could say go for Asana, go for monday.com, Jira, Trello, very, very good. And whether you want to use it for project or not, everybody should be able to know how to use Google Workspace very well. Almost free. You could use Google Workspace to do a lot of things. Almost free. Don't really need to learn so much. Just try, and then you get to know them. But the most the most important work tool you need to use is the one that your employer uses. You go in, your employer uses MS Project, learn and be good at MS Project, because they're not going to change for you. They use Oracle Primavera, learn it. These two are actually tough to learn. You go, they use Asana, learn it. Monday.com, learn it. After specializing, you leave and go for another company. You see they use a different one, you have to learn it. That's one thing about project management. As a project manager, you need to have knowledge across so many things. Yes, so those are the tools that you need to learn. And other areas you can specialize, even as a project manager. I've told you there's business analysis. Now, what does business analyst does? Business analysis is different from analytics. Please don't get it right. Business analysis is just simply the process of collecting all the requirements for a project. Because at the end of it, you need to carry out the project to meet the requirements of the stakeholders. Wanted to build a website. This website should be able to take donations from all parts of the world and this and that. Now know that, okay, the global web payment tool, gateway tool is say PayPal. So you are not going to integrate the one that will not take this in. So when you collect all the requirements, everything that has to be in the scope of the project, you'll be able to manage a project that will produce what the stakeholders wanted. So how do you get this requirement? That is what we call business analysis. If you are in product development, like Mr. Frank, who is in this webinar, that's what product owner does, collecting requirements from the people who will use the end product of that this thing, so that the project manager can be able to manage all these requirements and make sure that they are carried in the project scope. So you can decide to specialize in business analysis. PMI also offers PMI professional business analyst, as a PMI PBA. You can decide to specialize in schedule. There are people who they are project managers, but they decide to specialize in schedule management. They use a lot of schedule tools to make project schedule. There are others that specialize in risk management. So that's why I said project manager should not necessarily be the technical person of that project, because there's many other areas that project manager needs to have knowledge of. So somebody could decide to be a subject matter expert in risk management, schedule. So these are other areas. So everybody can be general project managers. You can be general project manager too, and decide to streamline your knowledge and specialize in a specific area of project, like business analysis, schedule, and risk management. So these are areas you can also consider. You can read about this on Google. I said business analysis. They collect requirements, all the features they want to be part of the project, for the projects to be able to produce a good product at the end. That's what business analysis is all about. A lot more. Let me not just say all about. There are a lot of more. So they carry out all this, do analysis on if we should embark on this project, use return on investment and other financial tools to analyze if it is worth embarking on this project or if it should be the other project. That is what business analysis is. That's what they do. Sometimes a company may decide to invest in a new line of business. They will have three, for example, Dangote recently completed the refinery project. There might have been other areas they could consider, but their business team sits down to maybe they use return on investment, they use payback period, and whatever financial model to say, okay, at the end of it, this is the one we are going to take. That is what business analysis also entails. Okay, so that brings us to the end, and then at this point, we should ask as many questions as possible as long as we want to stay here. I can stay here the next 1 hour as long as I'm able to answer people's question and help people gain the knowledge. But I know it's already past 2, which this webinar was supposed to end, so people could decide to leave. For me, I can answer, stay here, answer as many as you want. Okay, sir, are you on Telegram? Yeah, I am on Telegram. Okay, I think I may have to share a lot of my information here, so you can ask me. Peace, Eze, your hand is up again. So please, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say this instead of just typing it. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Just
I
go ahead.
know this very profound information you dished out for free. I know what people charge just to give this out. Thank you so much for the time. And it was really, really enlightening. All the questions that I've been having, to just help me understand how to, start up with the project management career and all of that. Just you answered it in detail. So thank you. And I look forward to actually even working with you, mentorship, anything. I'll chat you
No
up
problem.
later. And take it up from here. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. I really appreciate your feedback. Please, if you have questions, please kindly go ahead. Start to save. I love that your name. Start to save. You can unmute and ask your question. Okay, looks like she's not here. Okay. My LinkedIn profile is there. I've just pasted the link to my LinkedIn profile. So please do well to connect. Do well to connect. You're very much welcome. Please, I'm still waiting for more questions. So that's my LinkedIn profile, my email address. We also came in here. Okay, my email address is also there. All I wanted to do was having basic knowledge, but I already feel like a pro after listening to you. All right, thank you. Okay, yeah, start to save.
Yes, sir.
I'm with you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. In fact, I am elated. This time that you have spent with us is quite interesting. Sincerely, I thought I used to know project management before now, but all of the pieces of information that you've passed across is very, very, I don't know how to explain it. Please, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
I would like a situation whereby you carry us along. I look forward to maybe joining your mentorship class, and I love to be a protege, and I also want to flow like you in the future. Thank you so very much, sir.
All
I
right,
see a bright future, and I think with this, so many other persons with us can also come join the mentorship class. Thank you so very much, sir.
you're very much welcome. You're very welcome. Okay, do you have other questions? I'm very much open to answering. Mr. Michael, good to see you. Michael Aromo, thank you. Thanks for your insight shared here today's session. You'll record. Yes, this is recorded, and yes, I can send you the link, anyone who wants it, and also that of Facebook is live, and after this, it will still remain there, so you could go watch it as many times as possible. I will send you the link to the Facebook live, the video, even the recorded one here using Google Drive. No problem. Okay, Diola, your hand is up. Can you unmute and speak?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for the session. It was um more than amazing, I would say, because I actually didn't expect you to go this deep, but I'm glad you did. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. This is a whole lot of money, and I'm so grateful. So thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I just felt from my experience, trainings, and seeing a lot of updates on LinkedIn specifically, and then another place that there's so much misconception or so much wrong information is in NYC camps. I'm even currently I'm trying to see how to penetrate there so as to also take this information to them, because even during my time, I had a lot of people come within 2 days to say, oh, project management certification. So people left camp and felt they were certified project manager after 2 days of training and and the rest. So I just felt it's necessary people get to know information around this, and then be able to take, because at some points a lot of people take the decision based on wrong information. So if you get the accurate information, what the truth is, you now decide if you still want that thing or if you don't want it. So I felt it was important I share the knowledge, and I'm glad I've been able to do so. These two few of us who are here. So it's my pleasure. Okay, do we have other questions? All right, I think there is none. There's no more question. We've been able to handle everything we wanted to. Okay, I will surely recommend people to you. Okay, you. All right, thank you, Fonasea. It's my pleasure. Please do well to reach out to me via LinkedIn. I have pasted the address on the chat box, and I'm still doing that again. Thank you very much for being part of this. I think about 53 people registered. I don't know why some people said they didn't see the link, the meeting link or meeting invite. I guess they did not they don't check their spam box, because most of the time this goes into their spam box. Hopefully we can host this again for those who are not able to make it to this webinar. And please, for those who need my number, if you check my LinkedIn profile, you will certainly have my number there, and it's also my WhatsApp number, so you could, and it's also my Telegram number as well, so you could reach me. Okay, you could reach me there. So if you can't use the number and you need the link specifically, reach me on LinkedIn. You can ask for it, and I can also share whatever information you need. All right, thank you very much, and nice having to be your anchor today. It was a pleasure meeting each and every one of us. Thank you, and do have a great remainder of the day and the weekend. See you again in our next edition of I don't have a name for my webinar series yet, but the most important thing is that I've been able to share knowledge to one or two persons, and it's always a pleasure doing so. and also learning from all of you. Thank you. Thank you. And have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Marina. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Frank, Prince Ekpo, Mr. Emmanuel Akbanachera. Thank you. It was nice having you. Start to serve. Fonasa, Rukayat. Thank you. Look forward to meeting you guys again in the next editions.